Welcome in, folks. Hope everybody's having a tremendous day out there here today, okay? So I saw this last night, and I thought this was very interesting. If you had $1 million, which stock would you invest in for the next 6 months? I thought this was a very interesting question. And so what I want to do is I want to react to the stocks that people said, and I want to tell you if I think these stocks are good or not good for the next 6 months. Then what we're going to get into is if you forced me to put $1 million in a stock for the remainder of this year, I'll let you know what stock that particular stock is in this video here today. So we'll react to that first. And then when we're done going through that, I want to react to this video, Gene Munster, on why Google McDougal will win the AI arms race. I think this is a very interesting video to react to here because Google, there's been a lot of talk that, they might not be the winner chicken dinner in regards to the situation, but Gene Munster says, no, they are going to end up winning this just like they won search. So hope you guys enjoy this video. As always, appreciate y'all joining me. Thank you for being here, and thank you for being subscribed to the channel. We're approaching 47,000 subscribers on the channel, so I appreciate each and every one of you. If you're looking to apply to join my private group, I'm going to put that as a pinned comment down there. You can click on that, fill out an application, see if you're a good fit to join us in the private group, access to all my best course curriculums, Discord chat, all that good stuff, okay? So, first thing somebody said is, invest in a stock for 6 months is not investing. True. That's trading, 100%. But we're going to play this game anyways, okay? So, but, we'll speak about that, okay? So this person says, Apple, Nvidia, he says, Nvidia is a frothy hype train, avoid. Apple, I gotta say, and I talk a lot of trash about Apple, but as I've been saying the last couple months, I actually like Apple for I like Apple for kind of like the next year, I guess you can say. And the reason being is we're about to go into an AI boom cycle, actually. I don't know if it's a multi-year cycle, but it's going to be at least 1 year. So 2015 iPhone sales are going to be really good, in my opinion. They're going to be up substantially on a year-over-year basis. Apple's coming off of a very weak cycle in iPhone 15, and that's why if you look at their latest quarterly numbers, iPhone revenue was down about $5 billion year-over-year. So they're coming off a really weak cycle, but they're about to make the biggest iPhones ever made, literally. And so every time Apple launches the biggest iPhone ever, always does phenomenal, and I expect no different in regards to the situation. And as I explained to you guys many times now, analysts are going to think it's AI hype, but really it's just because it's the biggest iPhone. I've already made up my mind. I'm buying it. I got to buy the biggest iPhone, okay? Next one says, I would play it safe and buy a 6-month T-bill at 4+%. Listen. Come on, man. You're not even playing the game right. The question was, here, out of Unusual Whales, if you had to invest $1 million, which stock would you invest in, okay? You're not even playing the game right. Obviously, if you want to play it safe, you'd do a 6-month treasury bill, but that's not even playing the game right. This person says Ford, but that's just me. No. What are we talking about here? Come on, man. No. Ford? What? This person says Berkshire Hathaway. Ooh, I like that. I like Berkshire. I don't love Berkshire. You know what? I don't actually like Berkshire for the next 6 months. I like Berkshire for the next 6 years, but do I actually like Berkshire for the next 6 months? No, actually, thinking about it now. And here's why. The thing that worries me about Berkshire is how much of a conglomerate it is of the economy. And if we were to see the economy deteriorate much more over this next 6 months, I think Berkshire will likely do pretty poor in that environment, maybe even worse than the S&P 500. And so I actually don't love Berkshire for the next 6 months. But, of course, their biggest stock position is Apple, so that could help them out. But if their underlying business is not in a great place in the next 6 months, yeah, that one I think is not the best. I'll put it like that. Like I said, next 6 years, Berkshire is a great stock. But next 6 months, I don't know about that one, okay? This person says, honestly, I just buy good quality land. Learn how to play the game, man. Learn how to play the game. This person says, if you invested $1 million in one stock with a time horizon of a half a year, you wouldn't have $1 million very soon. True. This person says, Microsoft. Microsoft's not bad. Not my favorite. But, I mean, you look at the stability of that business model. Are Microsoft's numbers going to be great the next couple quarters? Yeah, they're going to be very good numbers. Like, Microsoft puts up their good numbers quarter in and quarter out. We know that, right? So Microsoft, I like Microsoft. Like I said, I don't think it's the best play for the next 6 months, but I like it. This person, Russell 1000 growth. So that could be a great one. But here's the deal. One, we need the Fed to start lowering rates in the next 6 months. If, let's say, 2 months from now, 3 months from now, the Fed starts lowering rates, compound it with not obvious that like the whole economy is getting destroyed, right? I think we have a consumer recession going on right now, but we haven't reached any sort of level where it's like, oh my gosh, this is like horrible, right? If we were to start to approach a 6% unemployment rate or 7%, 8%, things could get ugly really, really fast. But if we didn't have that and we keep the unemployment rate under 4.5%, with the Fed lowering rates, I think a lot of people will position into the Russell and some of those small cap companies in that situation. And that could be a huge boom at that particular time. Now, would it be long lasting? I think that depends on if the economy was to hold up or not in that situation. But that's a good one. I will say that. Okay. Next one up here. Holding a stock for 6 months is speculation, not an investment. Playing roulette probably gives you the same amount of odds. Well put. I like that. This person says GameStop and AMC. Oh, come on. You got to be flipping my flapjacks. Just stop it. GameStop and AMC. We know those stocks are jokes. Right? And as I told you guys, that GameStop, remember when GameStop was going hot here recently and I told you that's not going to last? Sure enough, did it last? Nope. It faded right down right after, just as I knew that was going to happen. People expecting these things to last nowadays are not going to last. And the reason being is we're not in the same market we were in 2021. In 2021, you got to understand, the market had attracted a lot of new investors, right? A lot of people that weren't experienced. People were flush with stimulus money. They hadn't been hit by inflation yet, and they hadn't been burnt by any stocks. And so GameStop was able to do that run, and AMC and those sorts of stocks were able to do that huge epic run because people were flush with cash and they hadn't been burnt. Now, guess what? People aren't flush with that sort of cash. The stimulus days are long gone, and all that stimulus money went bye-bye a long time ago, okay? Additionally, everybody already got burned by those stocks who were trying to play those stocks, so now they're not interested in playing those stocks anymore, right? And so those can't last. And just as I explained to you, it wasn't going to last. Sure enough, like within a day or two of me calling that out, those stocks fell right down, right on their face, right? At this point in the market, you have to buy companies that have the best fundamentals possible. You're buying stocks that are questionable if they're even going to be around 5-10 years from now. You're going to be in a world of hurt, okay? This person says, not a stock, but QQQ, and hope China doesn't attack Taiwan in the same period. Yeah, this person says QQQ. The issue with the Qs is you got to count on NVIDIA continue to run, Apple continue to run, Meta continue to run, Amazon, Google, all these sorts of big dog companies, Microsoft, right? And are they set up decent for the next 6 months? I think they're set up decent. We know NVIDIA is going to do their thing. We know Meta is going to do their thing, right? Apple, I think this quarter they're going to report is not going to be the best quarter, but like I said, going into 2025, I think the numbers start to get very, very exciting. And I think they could have some good data to post. Once the iPhones come out, they're going to come out in September. They should come out in September. And then Apple should have their conference call around Halloween. There's a decent probability Tim Cook's going to have some data to give around iPhone. He's probably going to say iPhone sales are booming. It should be a great year for iPhone, and so that could benefit Apple. Google, if Google could get some momentum, and we'll talk about Google here in a little bit with this Gene Munster video, and people feel more confident in Google could go through a nice cycle, and Amazon's very well positioned. So, the Qs aren't bad. It's not a bad pick. This person says, I'd ask Nancy to choose me. To choose for me. That's funny. I did a video on Nancy Pelosi buying some stocks recently here on the channel if you want to check that out. This person says, I would not invest in stock. I would get an income property in the USA. Okay, once again, that's not the question, but to have some real estate investment properties is definitely a good thing. Okay. This person says VU. This person says Palantir. VU. Okay, Palantir. Ooh, now we're talking. The thing with Palantir is, in order for that stock to continue to move, they got to come out And those growth rates have to continue to accelerate for the next 2 quarters. There's this quarter they're about to report. They'll probably report that in the next, I would say, 30 days likely. And then the next quarter after that would be another 90 days after that. So you basically get Palantir doing 2 more earnings in this year. And so, yeah, if you could get Palantir for the growth rates, then Palantir is going to continue to roll. And we know there's a lot of momentum continuing to come into Palantir. If they push that revenue growth, let's say in this current quarter, they're about to report up to like a 25% number. And the next quarter, they push up to like a 27, 28% number. And they guide out to around a 30% growth number. Look out. Palantir flying back to all-time highs, which, then we're talking 40-ish. So, yeah, I like Palantir for the remainder of the year. This person isn't playing the game, right? They said 3 stocks, supposed to be 1 stock. PayPal, Tesla, AMD. Obviously, PayPal looks so attractive, but the issue with trying to count on it is we got to have Wall Street change their mind in regards to PayPal, and they just refuse, as of right now at least, they refuse to change their mind on PayPal. PayPal's numbers have been really good. Heck, even last quarter, they even had, user growth for the first time in the longest time. Revenue growth, net income growth. But at the end of the day, Wall Street just wants nothing to do with PayPal in the short term, and so you're not going to get momentum in that stock until we get Wall Street behind it, right? Tesla already just had a huge move, so to now get it to make another move, the robo-taxi day is going to have to be a banger. And when I say banger, product's going to have to be a banger, the vision's going to have to be a banger that everybody can wrap their head around it, and maybe Travis leading it. We spoke about that on the main channel recently. That could be huge. AMD... So AMD should show some very strong growth rates in the back half of this year. And one thing I will say that's good for AMD is they have been very disappointing company in terms of the numbers they've been reporting for the last, I would say, several quarters now at this point in time. So if they could finally get their act together and actually report some good beats here, get everybody excited, then AMD could be a nice play there. This person says short Tesla. I think it's dangerous. I think Tesla's a dangerous short at this point in time. To short Tesla when it has momentum is very dangerous. When Tesla's down and out, like when I had my put position on it, it was a great time because Tesla didn't have momentum at that particular time. To go against that stock when it has momentum and the train's running, it's brutal. It's tough, man. You kind of just got to get out of the way. I spoke about that on the main channel when I talked about Tesla stock, was that a day or 2 ago when I posted a video on the main channel? That train's rolling right now. To go against it's tough. This person says Amazon just breaking out of consolidation and will have a solid run into the end of the year. I feel pretty confident about Amazon into the end of the year outside of a whole market crash scenario or something like that. Like Amazon set up very well. The forward P looks pretty darn attractive on Amazon. AWS still showing even better signs of growth. And I think, as AI excitement builds there, Bedrock with Amazon, I think could be huge potential for the remainder of this year. So yeah, I like that one. We are still going through a consumer recession, but with that being said, Amazon grows kind of regardless of what's going on in the economy as far as the e-commerce side. And the advertising side should be doing pretty good. This person says a Pelosi ETF. Not bad. Okay, here we go. NVIDIA, puts on NVIDIA. We'll come back to NVIDIA as far as long in just a moment. But as far as puts on NVIDIA, what are you doing? There's several times now where NVIDIA stock has had a chill out period and then it just goes back to the moon. And so we're going through a kind of a chill out period for NVIDIA right now, and it's setting up for likely another upward move. So the only way you're going to get NVIDIA down substantially, let's call it down 20-30% from here. So let's call it down to $100 or so. The only way you're going to get that is if NVIDIA's business model completely falls apart and their guidance is horrible. And you're not getting that. So puts on NVIDIA, brutal to try to play that. This person says Tesla or Palantir. We already spoke about Tesla and Palantir. I think Tesla's just had an epic move. So to get another epic move, we really have to get confirmation that margins are good from here, and we have to get just a banger August 8th day in terms of robotaxi. This person says a 5-month CD. Come on, man, learn how to play the game. This person says Apple. Like I spoke about earlier, Apple actually sets up pretty well. So the question is, for me personally, what stock, if I had you forced me, okay, go put $1 million in a stock right now, and I only had to worry about for the next 6 months, right, to the end of the year, and I did not have to worry about the next 3 years, 5 years, 7 years for these stocks. It was just a play for the next 6 months. I think a lot of you guys would think I'm going to say this stock right here. You're thinking I'm going to say Meta, right? And I do like the setup for Meta. I got to be honest. Obviously, for the long term, we all know that I wouldn't have, nearly $1 million of public account money in Meta if I didn't, right? But as much as I love Meta in the short term, it's actually a stock I like better. It might shock you. It's NVIDIA. It's NVIDIA. Now, I am concerned about NVIDIA 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 4 years from now, after this massive boom cycle we're going through starts to kind of, chill out a bit, right? And maybe sequentially they even have a quarter or two where they have negative numbers, but the setup for NVIDIA is still phenomenal into year end. Why is it phenomenal? Well, MU came out and said they basically sold through all their memory through 2025, right? So right off the bat, given what Jensen said about kind of the state of the business model, given what MU has said, and given the the capital expenditures that a lot of these big tech companies are talking about for this year and next year, because they have kind of, even Zuckerberg kind of signaled that CapEx is going to go up in future years, meaning like they're going to spend even more likely on NVIDIA chips next year than what they're spending this year. NVIDIA looks set up great for at least the next 6 months. Now, I do think there's a decent probability that NVIDIA stock could actually do a multi-year peak in the next 6 months. Let's say it has another big cycle. It goes to $150, $200 a share, somewhere in there roughly, right? It's possible that could end up being a multi-year kind of peak top for the stock. And even though 2025, the numbers get better and better and better, maybe the excitement starts to brew down a lot, and then maybe there starts to be some worries about sequential growth and even year-over-year growth in 2026 into 2027, right? But for now, the setup looks phenomenal. Phenomenal, right? We could get NVIDIA also to show off some new chips or new something in the back half of the year here, which is a decent probability. And then with just overall insane demand, I mean, NVIDIA is just set up very, very well. And we know everybody wants a piece of that stock. Deep down, every Wall Streeter really wants to own that stock. And keep this in mind as well. The weighting is going to matter in this back half of the year. NVIDIA has gone up so much, it's going to start benefiting from the big changes in weighting. And so there's going to be more money automatically pumped into NVIDIA, which is definitely going to benefit the stock in a pretty substantial way, right? And additionally, I think you're going to have a lot of Wall Streeters that have underperformed this market or underperformed the S&P 500 that are going to be starting to look to how do we play catch up? Well, if you're going to play catch up in regards to the market, what do you play? You play the Qs. Well, guess who gets a ton of that money if you're going to put money in the Qs? NVIDIA, right? What else are you going to play? NVIDIA. If you need to play catch up in the back half of the year because you're underperforming the market and you're a fund manager, you're going to play NVIDIA. So that's why I'm just kind of thinking about the fundamental side looks really good. And then from kind of the trader angle, it looks really freaking good as well. So yeah, that if you force me, that's the one I would go with. But lucky for me, I don't have to worry about that, right? I worry about the long-term game, but that was a fun game to play. I hope you guys enjoyed that little game there, okay? Now, I think this is an important video. Google me Dougal. People looking at the stock saying this has to be a steal deal, this stock right now, right? It's trading at pretty cheap valuations, and a lot of people have forgotten about it. So what's Gene Munster have to say here?
Will win the AI arms race. This is according to a new study published by Deepwater Asset Management today. The company tested ChatGPT, Gemini, Grok, and Claude with the same 40 questions to determine who would give the most accurate answers. Joining us now with more, Gene Munster.
If you love Tai T, let me know in the comment section that you love Tai T, okay? I'd love to hear from you guys.
Asset Management Managing Partner. I just want to read one quote because it's exactly what I thought. What's most important for the future is the ability to allow third parties to create unique, deep, and conversational experiences that deliver insights beyond search. That doesn't exist today. And that's what I've seen. It's like, thank you, but I could have Googled this and put it all together, Googled it a couple of different places, gone to the sources, stuck them together, hodgepodge, and you're giving me no insight, no analysis. You're not distilling anything? Are any of them any good at this point, Gene? They're not impressive to me at this point.
Well, I think they definitely do an important role in terms of getting to the answer more quickly. But I do think we're in this kind of still early stage. If you kind of a scale of 1 to 100, we're probably in the teens in terms of their ability to really deliver something that's unique. And so I want to break down the topic into two pieces. Number one, you led with our belief that Google is going to win at search. And that is a powerful statement given some of the concerns that investors have about the $185 billion in revenue that they're going to do this year in search, and that potentially getting displaced by other generative AI search products. OpenAI is going to come out with a chatbot this year. But our findings are that the intelligence of these models, even though it's call it 15 on a scale of 100 right now, the intelligence is comparable. And why that's so important for Google investors is that if it's comparable to OpenAI and Grok and Claude, that means that those 4 billion daily active search users really aren't going to be motivated to make that switch. And so I kind of think about this topic in two pieces. Google's search franchise is intact. No need to worry. Second is, what does that mean for if the search kind of opportunity and that commerce opportunity gets taken off the table? What does it mean for the other models? And ultimately, as you said, is that AI chatbots still need to make a leap forward from what they're doing today, giving simple answers, to really to the point where you're getting that, as you described it, this kind of deep conversation. And why is a deep conversation important is because the true unlock with chatbots is going to be getting to an insight that you wouldn't get from a single answer. And so I think that chapter one going well for Google and will continue because it's smart, comparable to the others. Chapter two is still wide open for these generative bots to add much more value than we're getting today.
So I was wondering how you could make a determination of who was going to win when we don't know who's going to be able to get to that next step that you just mentioned. But you think because they're already entrenched with all the search users that
two different
even if they're comparable to the others because of their existing position, that makes them the eventual winner? Is that how you're thinking of it?
We're thinking about, there's two pieces to the topic. On the search side, that's correct, is that since Gemini is comparable by our scoring, it's within 4%. All of the models are basically comparable intelligence. And since it's comparable, there's no real motivation. It's not 10x better for this habitual search behavior that we have around Google to change. And so that search piece is in a good place. But then there's another part of the conversation that emerged in our testing, which is that what's happening in search and will continue to be generative search in the future really isn't the true unlock related to a chatbot. And that true unlock still hasn't happened. And I think that that's the opportunity for all four of them, is to build a model that just has that conversation piece that still doesn't exist today.
Gene, but can you just break it down for other functionality, or did you not look at other functionality?
We did. We basically, as I mentioned, their intelligence are comparable.
No, but I just say, so I use this stuff all the time. I would tell you if I was going to write something, and I don't do this, we actually don't do this professionally, but if you're going to write something or play with writing it, I would use Anthropic. I would use Claude, right? It seems more human. The sort of wordsmithing of it all seems a little bit more, there's sort of something, it feels something.
Not for your column.
Real quick here. I'd love to hear from you guys. If you've experimented with a bunch of these different ones, and this is really the only people I want to comment on this, if you've experimented with several of these different kind of programs, platforms, let me know what you prefer and why you prefer it in the comments section. I would love to hear from you guys and read through the comments and kind of see what you guys have to say. But once again, only people that have experienced several of different, if you've only used one, you're like, I like this, like, don't bother leaving a comment. If you've tried several and you're like, this for sure, XYZ one is the best, let me know in the comment section why. Thank you.
No, I'm just saying if
you haven't done this yet, have you?
No, I'm saying if you were going to try to write something or use it to write something,
don't do that.
Anthropic,
I'll be able to tell.
I would probably use Anthropic or maybe ChatGPT. Gemini would be the third on my
stacks.
If I was stack rank them, if you will.
Stack rank.
If you wanted to use numbers or to create charts or to create tables, you might actually use, I think you'd use ChatGPT probably first of all those things.
Probably. So we
go ahead,
did
Gene.
look at that in terms of what they're good at. And so, as I mentioned, their broader intelligence is similar. But like you said, each
Most random thing. So this desk where they're at right here, when I was in New York City, I walked by it twice. It's right by Times Square, basically it's right in Times Square. And after the show's over, they pushed this desk kind of like close to the window. So I took this picture. I don't know if you probably can't see that very well, unfortunately. No, you're not going to be able to see that well. But it's the trading calendar 2018. And this is right where Becky Quick sits. And I'm like, I guess she uses it as maybe a mouse pad, but I'm like, that's what I'm thinking maybe she does. But I'm like, why do they have the trading calendar of 2018 on where Becky Quick sits all the time? Like, it's 2024. Like, can't we get her like an updated trading calendar there?
does better. For example, Google does best at commerce. And then in the category, we had a category of future projections. And that tended to be GPT, and Grok did well with that. Claude, as you said, does well with more of the kind of those writing types of features. And so each model does have a strength. Grok is the only one with what we describe as a true personality. It doesn't give the bullet point responses. It's not scientific. So just if that's more of your personality, you're going to gravitate more towards Grok. But they do have individual strengths. Their broader intelligence is relatively comparable.
It's okay. Well, I just want to know, when, and really if it makes that next leap, because so the chips are fast, they're really fast, but when does it make that, to sentience of some kind or to insight? I mean, we're all gonna hear there's gonna be a sound all of a sudden when we get, because that's going to be not a singularity necessarily. That's going to be a whole new thing that well, how long? Ever?
Well,
then we got to go.
How long is that going to take to get there? The way we think about it is it's going to come. It's probably by the end of the decade. Don't use Elon as a good benchmark in terms of timing. He says that we're like within a year or two, so it's probably 5-6 years, but it's going to happen. And Joe, to your point too, everything we're talking is generative. When you get to general intelligence, it's a step function. It's a step function improvement.
It's quantum.
What you can
That'd be quantum. And we sort of rushed it because AI has been around. I mean.
Okay, so let's talk about Google stock here, and if Google stock's an attractive stock to buy. Alrighty, so I'm comparing Google here to Apple and Microsoft. I feel like I always compare Google to Meta and Meta to Google, so I thought I would change it up a little bit, compare them to Apple. And obviously, Google owns Android, which is the big competitor, obviously, to iOS on mobile, right? But Google's obviously advertising business heavy, where Apple's services heavy and iPhone heavy, right? And Microsoft, we can call it, is very heavy on business overall, right? Either from their cloud perspective or from their, obviously, Office suite of products there. So when we look at kind of trailing 12-month P, 28 on Google, 34 on Apple, 40 Microsoft, Google looks like the better buy there. If we look at forward P, 25.8 versus 33 versus 37, Google also looks like the better buy there. 2-year out forward PE 20 versus 30 versus 31. Google also looks better there. Trailing 12-month earnings per share, Google's the strongest of the bunch. Current year expected earnings per share growth, also strongest of the bunch. And next year expected earnings per share growth, also the strongest of the bunch. Ooh, baby. Now, Google does have some government issues, but so don't these other companies. So they honestly all have that. Google actually has very nice revenue growth this year. Maybe not quite on a trailing 12-month basis that Microsoft has, but Apple's negative, right? If we look at current year expected revenue growth, 15% for this year, 3% for Apple, and Mr. Softy's at 16%, right? So overall, and if we look at net margin, Microsoft has the best. Not surprising there. Net margin a little lower for Google. I think they do have room to get in that kind of 33 range long term. But looking at Google versus these three, I'd actually say Google's the best buy. Like if you forced me to buy one of these three stocks tomorrow, $1 million, let's say, I'd actually buy Google. I do like it better kind of in the short term and long term. than these other stocks. I don't know about short term. I might like Apple the best short term, like really, really super short term, like next 6 months. But I really like Google better for the long term and kind of what I'm getting there valuation wise. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Appreciate y'all joining me. If you're looking to apply, join a private group, pin comment down there, click on that, fill out an application, see if we're a good fit to get in there, get access to all my course curriculums, access to 6 and 7 figure Discord chat, access to exclusive weekly videos from me, and all that good stuff. Much love and have a great day.